welcome back to the One Deeper podcast. This week, I have a conversation with one of my fellow engineers at Momento.ai, Gabriel Caruso. It was a great conversation. We talk about all kinds of stuff from technology to life to where we came from. It was so much fun, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks again for listening, and yeah, enjoy the conversation. Peace. Okay. You're saying Apple has been investing in what?
Yeah, so you take this hardware, you take the iPad, you take the MacBook. These pieces of hardware, you can do basically anything. You can code, you can be a podcaster.
Yep.
You can edit your videos, everything out of the box. So Apple is really pushing to be that. Apple. Once I heard, I think it was from Steve Jobs himself. You have your ideas. You wanna do something, and you have the mean. You have how you're gonna do it, and you have the achievable, the product that you're gonna do. Do you agree with me that you have a huge space to fit? What is Apple products? They reduce that space.
Yeah.
From idea to creation.
Doesn't mean when he came back, he cut a bunch of the. That's the first thing he did, right? Like
Because he wanted focus.
Have you read the biography?
It's on my to-do list.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah.
Tell me one thing that you learned from that book wow, from Steve Jobs.
People will pay you to hide the complexity of things. Like,
Yes.
people don't seem to, like, people want things to happen, right? And they want their tools to do certain things, and they want certain things around them to happen, right? But they don't want to deal with the complexity of making that happen, right? And if you can shield them from that, but give them what they want, they will pay you whatever you want,
Or
essentially.
if you have the skills to do that, people are going to give you as much money as they can for you to solve it. So we are software developers. We do things that people think is crazy, it's magic, it's difficult. At the end of the day, what we're doing, we are hiding all the complexity, we abstract that, and we say, here is a program, here's a hardware, use it. We take all the money as salary, or we take all the money as profits, or income, whatever. Yeah, Steve Jobs is not wrong, definitely not wrong.
Another thing I got was that even the smallest thing is worth doing well. Like, it's like if your job is laying bricks, right? If that's what you do, like, do it to the best you can possibly do that job. So, like, I remember people are, I recall reading the book, like, he wanted even the inside of the computer to look in a certain way, right? Like, it's like, the customer won't know it's there, but I'll know it's there, right? So just trying to make it, like, he had this insane drive towards order. Like, he was a creative person, but he had a vision for how things should be and how things should look. I think people have a lot of mixed feelings about Steve Jobs, but I found that book enlightening, and the way he thought, and the way and like, of course he's gonna be insane. Like, people expect these eccentric, like, once in 100-year people to be normal like everybody else. Like, what do you mean? Like, you can't expect that from those people.
What is being normal?
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, Apple always talk about that. The normal, the crazy ones.
Yeah. How do you feel about Apple as a company? Like, I'm curious, because people have a lot of, conflicting opinions.
Yeah. So if you let's talk about the company, not the people. Let's talk about the company. I think one thing that Apple is proving a lot is what you just said. If you focus in one thing, from top to bottom, from the interns to the externals, and you just focus on that, your competition is going to have a hard time competing with you.
Do these M chips are nuts.
They're ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Apple focused so much on being the company that is going to abstract all what we talk about the creative boundaries. Let's put it that way. Apple is doing that. The iPhone, you just buy a new one. You log in with your Apple ID, and then you have everything.
Once you're in that ecosystem, like it's nice.
When you buy a MacBook, you become free to do. I once heard that Apple removes all the limits, and you are starting to be limited by your imagination, by your ideas.
Yeah.
Because technology should not be on the middle of that. So one of the things that I think I learned with Apple was that the shorter the barriers, the faster you can get the things done, the better you can get your things done, because you are not spending time with the process, you're spending time with the idea. So Apple focused a lot of that. And then you have so that's the company, that's my vision of the company. And then you have Apple as the CEO, you have Apple as this big company that has an ecosystem. You need to buy everything from Apple, you need to have everything from Apple. You have one of the problems that I see with Apple is, well, it's not a problem. People are going to pay the prices, as you said. But Apple they are very expensive. We are recording this in Amsterdam, so let's say that you want to buy an iPhone. Let's put a price of, I don't know, 1,000 euros. If you go to Brazil, if you go to Sri Lanka, how many thousands of euros are going to be to buy those phones?
It's at least, I would say, 150% more expensive.
So that's my problem with Apple. I think Apple, of course, they focus on the profits. That's why they are one of, if not the biggest company.
They were for a moment the most valuable company in the world.
And probably they could trade that off in reducing the prices across all the globe. But why would they do that?
I think that's such a complicated problem. Like, let's just talk about that for a second, right? Like, when you have a company like Apple and you're trying to service the entire planet, basically, right? It would be so nice if every country in the world operated like the Netherlands or the US, and they had like simple, transparent rules about who can come in, do business, who can't do business. Like in Sri Lanka, you can't have an Apple store, right? Because if you want for a foreign company to start a company in Sri Lanka, it has to be 49% owned by Sri Lankan national, or like it has to be a franchise or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a mess, right? So that adds a huge layer of cost. Obviously, right? So Apple has authorized resellers.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
So those guys are they're like discount Apple stores, right? But you don't get the same service. But they're responsible for like they will take care of they'll take care of your Apple warranties. They'll take care of your Apple Care Plus. All that it's good. But unlike an Apple store where I can go like, hey, my shit's broken, and they'll give it to you. Like I have Apple Care Plus on my MacBook, right? If I drop that tomorrow, I just walk in there and like, oops, and they're like, okay, yeah, I just pay the $100, give me a brand new computer, right? Like, easy peasy. Like, you don't get that service, obviously, right? But it'll take like 3 weeks, so it's not bad.
No, that's fine.
But the interim, the middleman adds a cost to stuff, and also like exchange rates. And Sri Lanka, think about this, right? Sri Lanka has a problem. I used to work for a logistics company. Okay, they have to account for. Someone must told me, I can't remember which company, but like they have to account for about 10% of their goods being lost at the port, being stolen at the port.
Okay, so you were talking what I was going to talk, but finish? Yeah,
like so that's ridiculous. So how the hell, like, good luck importing a container full of iPhones. Good luck.
Good luck.
Because so everyone is basically bringing them on their person.
Yes.
So they have to so to bring them, they have to literally travel to like Singapore, buy a bunch of as many iPhones as they can fit in the suitcase, and then come back. So then they add the flight cost to the phone, all these things. So there are systematic issues that makes them so expensive. But if you go to Dubai, it's like €100 cheaper everything for Apple stuff.
Just because it's in Dubai.
Yeah.
If you come to the Netherlands, the same thing.
Yeah, like it's But here also you get a VAT, you get a 25% VAT thing, VAT.
Oh yeah, the VAT. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so like that's.
So
That's that.
you talk. Okay, so my country Brazil is not the only one with that problem.
Oh, dude, are you
So
kidding? Of
do you
course.
know Asus, the company?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the guy is the head of marketing. If I'm not wrong, he's huge and he's Brazilian, and he gives a lot of interviews. Top question: why phones are so expensive in Brazil? And he was like, I'm gonna answer that question, but I'm gonna first ask you, why do you think phones are expensive in Brazil? Majority of people answer taxes. Majority of people answer, oh, you need to bring the phones from the outside.
Yeah, no, bullshit.
Bullshit. he answered with all the words. The problem and the prices is because of logistics and security. From the moment that it leaves China to the moment it gets to the stores in Brazil, the operation, the logistics, and the amount of security that is involved is just expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sell an Asus computer for $1,000 in the US, counting for all the process, all the taxes, all the profits that your computer gonna have, probably if you go to Brazil, you're gonna need to charge 5 times more.
Yeah, because it's just more expensive to send to those places, not because they're a part of like not because they're further away from anything.
No.
It's just more expensive to keep your goods secure to get them to the your customer. Like that's such a fundamental problem. Like people are like, oh my, I have friends who are like they're fairly idealistic, and they're like, then they'll say, man, so like maybe we'll go off for dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we pay like, I don't know, 50, 60 euros, a few people, right?
Right.
And then they'll be like, I can't believe we're spending so much money on like, I don't know, this food when there are people starving in Africa. Okay, all right. So I'm like, so I get the sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, right? Like when they say things like, oh, we throw away so much food at the grocery store at the end of the week because no one buys it. Like people are starving in Sri Lanka, whatever. I'm like, I get it. But you have to take that question. I appreciate the concern, but you have to take that question another level deep. I mean, like, why are people starving in Sri Lanka? Is it because you're eating this burger? No, that's not why they're starving. They're starving because of a bunch of different reasons.
You use the term systematic problems.
Yes.
I learned that term 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I attend a conference from Google, Google Summit, Google Cloud Summit for Sustainability. And one of the problems that Google is tackling is the problem that everyone is tackling, that is climate change. Guy Calendar in the 80s, in the 90s, he figured it out that there's a correlation between the amount of heat trapped on Earth with CO2 increase on the atmosphere, so that's how everyone knows that. But then Google imposed that question. For systematic problems, you need systematic solutions. If your planet is just getting hot and hotter, do you think you buying something vegan, or you buying an electric car, or you turning off your lights, do you think that's going to solve the problems? It's going to help. As you said, if I don't throw food, of course I'm helping, but I'm not solving the problem. For systematic problems, you need systematic solutions.
You need you need to have a longer time horizon in your solutions for those kind of problems, right? People used to build cathedrals that would take 300 years to build.
Mm-hmm.
Entire generations will work on this one building, right? And Europe is still benefiting from those. Millions of people visit these things to see every year, just in awe of like, man, that's crazy. And the people who built it, when they were building it, they knew they would never see it completed, right? But they were able to think 200-300 years. Like part of that, I guess, is because of the technology. They were like, we just don't have the tools to make this fast. We know it's not take this long. Whatever.
They don't need to be faster.
Exactly.
Nobody's rushing.
Exactly. But weirdly, our tools got way better, but our time horizons got smaller and smaller. Like imagine if with the tools we have now, we were still implementing 300-year projects. Like this is going to take 300 years to finish, but that won't work because you have 4 year election cycles, quarterly business cycles.
So many things happening. Yes.
So like, of course, those are all great things. Like nothing is good and bad, right? It's all pros and cons. That's one thing. That's also one thing I learned like in the past 3 weeks, like or like just working here, or like talking to people, or like nothing is good or bad purely. They're just pros and cons. Like what do you want? What cost do you want to pay now for what benefit do you want to get?
That's a very nice mindset because if you take, for example, let's say that you have a problem and then you have a list of, let's call it 5 solutions. Is solution A or B worse or better than one another? No. They have more pros or more cons, and then when you
pick what you have to pay,
you average,
yeah.
You see, okay, I can take this problem, or I want this solution, and then you implement it.
And also another thing is like I've learned is it's way more important to have the right question than to know if you have the right answer. Like, because if you're not addressing a problem at a deep enough level, you're just spinning your wheels in the mud, right? You're always just putting out fires without actually making any progress. So how do you figure that out? That is difficult, right? Like how do you go from having to, like, okay, there's this quote from the Wizard of Oz. I think the Wizard of Oz. No, Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Right. It's the Red Queen, and she says something. She says, "Here, to stay in the same place, you have to run as fast as you can." Right. So, like, there's one problem. You have to stay competitive and to produce stuff, to be useful. You have to go as hard as you can, and then you have to take another step and be like, how do we solve even bigger problems? I like somehow like some companies have like a skunk works, like just a set of people whose only job is to like think about the most absurd things you could try to see if you can push that a bit further.
The limit, yes.
Yeah. And people, but you know, the default state of things is not working. Like the default setting of the world is to not work. The fact that any of this shit works at all is a fucking miracle. Like, wow. It's like you're from Brazil, right? Yes. Like, how much of this shit doesn't work? Like, generally. Like, just pick one thing. I'm from Sri Lanka. I can give you like 10 things off the top of my head.
So, in Brazil, there's, as I said, there are countless problems. But one of the problems that I see in Brazil is there is this Brazilian way of doing things.
I feel like it's very similar to the Sri Lankan way of doing things.
There we go. All the countries, they have that. And one of the things that I learned living in the Netherlands, that's awful. That's terrible. Let's take, for example, your agenda. You have your day. You have 24 hours. You're going to organize your day. At the morning, I'm going to work. At the afternoon, I'm going to go for dinner. And during night, I'm going to go home. And then you organize your day, and then you have 8 meetings. And then you're going to have your party, your dinner, and then you're going to go home. If something happened with those meetings, you need to start to reschedule your day if you wanted to meet the original schedule. Do you know what they do in Brazil?
What?
No, you know what? I can do another day. You know what? I'm 5 minutes late. That's fine.
Pretty much expect that answer.
So it's a problem. It's a big problem. How do we even start to?
How do you even start? Like,
you ask about questions. How do you make the questions to get to?
I'll give you a
even starting to solve this problem.
I'll give you a corollary example from Sri Lanka, right? I worked for one of the biggest companies in the country, right? And the guy who majority shareholder of the company is the richest guy in the country, right? And anyway, but so I was an executive, right? And we were responsible for making the decisions of who to buy from, what to buy, what to build, what we're going to do next, etc. So I was marketing and business development executive, right? And I had an engineering background, so like, and I had a science background, so like I like to see evidence for shit, right? Right? Okay. But anyway, that's
we're driven for data.
Yeah.
So
Besides, one day, this is a tangent, but like this company has this annual retreat. Okay, every year all the executives get on a book a resort in Sri Lanka, like they.
It's off-site.
Yeah, right. Okay. Go with the family, whatever. Right, have a good time. And I was like, cool, that sounds fun. And then they were like, yeah, you gotta talk to our suppliers, people who buy from, and ask them for a donation to this trip. And I was like, I was like, I heard that, and I was like,
am I understanding that right?
I'm like, I was like,
that's wrong.
That's wrong. Like,
wrong.
And then I was like, and these are all people who've been working there for 10 years, 15 years. They're like, what do you mean it's wrong? I was like, you and we are in this room are responsible for deciding who gets our money.
Mm-hmm.
We can't at the same time ask those people to donate money for something that we want to do. Like, that's ridiculous. That's a complete abuse of power, right? You can't do that.
But you had I don't want to use the word courage, but you had you were rational enough.
Yeah, I was not courageous. That was just like a common sense. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
It's common sense.
That makes no sense. Like,
it's common sense. There we go.
Like, my thinking was like, if I was the other person, I'd be pissed as shit. Like, what? Like, why should my livelihood depend on whether you want to go on this goddamn trip or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they looked at me like I was from the moon. Like, what is wrong with you?
Because you were thinking differently,
right? And then I was just like, this is crazy. And then I said, I'm not going. Like,
there you go.
Like, you guys can do what you want.
You stand for your values.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going, right? And obviously, after that, everyone in the office was just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And I was like, I'm not going. And I didn't make up a lie and said I can't. Oh, I have something to do this weekend. I was like, I'm not going. Here's the reason, and I think it's fucked up, right? And it's fine. Like, but another thing, if something like that were to happen here, right? And I had a personal reason. I said I don't want to do this because I don't agree with this. No one would hold that shit against me. They would just be like, cool,
yes.
You have a good weekend, we'll have a good weekend,
We'll
see how we'll come back on Monday, we'll get back to work, right?
Yeah.
But this is like a personal insult because part of them knows in their mind that this is wrong.
Yes.
Right?
And that's the point. We were talking about Steve Jobs. One of the, I think it was with Steve Jobs that I learned this. There's no problem you thinking differently from everyone. Because one, everyone thinks different from everyone, but two, the crazy ones. Mm-hmm. Steve Jobs talked about that. There's the whole speech that the crazy ones. But the crazy ones, the ones that think differently, those are the ones that usually are thinking beyond what we call the common sense. Or we are the ones thinking about common sense where everyone else is not thinking about common sense.
Yeah, it's like...
You have these two ways that you constantly need to be shifting. Either you are the common sense of the place, or you are the one that is extrapolating, not the limits, but you're extrapolating what you can think about. You were talking about doing bad things. I was once watching an interview from Eric Schmidt. He used to be the CEO of Google Alphabet. And Google has values. And one of the values is we don't do evil things.
Oh yeah, they removed that from the yeah.
But they used to have. I think they still have that.
I think putting that in there in the first place is like, come on.
Was creepy, but they were explicitly saying, we think about that.
I don't have a problem with it being creepy. I have a problem with it being ill-defined.
Okay.
Like, that's way too fucking vague.
Okay.
Like, I don't like shit like that. Like, if you're gonna put something in a document, you better make it. You better have a. Don't be evil. What by whose definition? Your definition? By like
okay,
definition?
Your point. Okay.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Be more specific, right? What do you mean? Don't be evil. Don't people use people's data? Don't steal people's money? Don't kill people? Like
the interpretation is very very wide.
Right. So what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not happy with that. But like, I understand your point. So go on. Sorry, I interrupted.
No. Is that like you need to have that ground, that common ground. You need to say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, or this is what we're not gonna do. You need to stand for your values, because when life challenges your ideas, I'm gonna give you an example. Unfortunately, we had the pandemic in 2020, and one of the things that happened after the pandemic was the stock market just grew like, I don't know, 100%. And I was new to the stock market. I was like, okay, what is this all about? Everyone's talking about the stock market. Let me join it. And along the way, one of the things that I learned with Warren Buffett is you need to have your ideas. You need to have the data for your ideas, and you need to what's the expression in English? You need to. Once it's your idea, you're gonna. I'm liking the English, but what I'm trying to say is, you're gonna defend that.
You're gonna stand up for what your idea is.
There we go. Sorry, I was forgetting about the experts. You're gonna stand up for your idea. So once you stand up for your idea, the world in life is gonna throw you two things: things that are gonna make you conform your idea, and things that are gonna make you doubt your idea. Do you know what the problem is? You're always gonna second guess yourself. If the stock market rises after you buy a stock, you have the bias confirmation that your idea is right. But if the opposite happens, you have a bias idea that your idea is wrong. That's
you don't have enough data to make that call.
But that's the point is, you need to have those values. You need to have your standards. You need to have your idea. And once you have your idea, stand by. Steve Jobs, let's go back to it. Steve Jobs had a crazy idea. He wanted to make computers, personal computers, for everyone. And what the fuck? Like, this is we were talking when he started Apple, 90, 80, 97, 99, something along those. Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Internet was just beginning. Bill Gates was just kicking start Microsoft. Google was still a startup. How did people receive Steve Jobs? They're like, he's nuts, he's crazy. But he stands for his ideas. When I go back to Brazil, today I have more values than I used to have. So for example, if I go to a supermarket and I see something, I don't know, let's say I see an opportunity to smuggle something. Back in the days, I would do that because I was in Brazil. I didn't have this spectrum. But when you move to other countries, when you move to other cultures, when you grow your ideas, when you read new books, when you meet new people, you redefine. Another thing, we were talking about ideas, we were talking about opinions. I think you should not be afraid of changing your mind.
For sure.
You need to stand by your values and by your ideas, for sure. But if you receive new data, what is the problem of changing your mind?
Okay. This is a good point. Okay, let's talk about data, right? And let's talk about this point exactly, right? When to change your mind. So we hear a lot about having an open mind.
Okay.
Right? Have an open mind. Have an open mind. Have an open mind. Your word fucking tells you to have an open mind, right? But I think of ideas they're packages of information, right? Like if you unzip that thing, there could be anything in there, right? So how do you can't, as far as I can tell, you can't be completely open-minded, right? First of all, let's just say first of all, reality comes at you through a bunch of filters, right? You were born at a certain time. You were born in a certain body. Like your biology, like the fact that you metabolize glucose, like all those things. There are so many layers, until you get to the point where you see reality, right? As in reality actually is. Okay. Once you're perceiving something, right, and you're being told, and you're seeing. This is actually very interesting because, like, on Wednesday, I recorded a podcast with one of my neuroscience professors, right? And we were talking about this, all kinds of stuff. But this idea of what you see and what you value, okay? And basically dopamine and how it works in your brain, okay? Like you said, we have values, you have ideas, you stand up for those things, right? At what point do you decide you have enough evidence
to change
that you're wrong? You need to change, because you can't be too far on that spectrum, because you change your mind every 10 seconds.
So you mentioned a word that is very. What is being wrong about an idea?
Okay, good. Let's be specific about wrong, right? I think of wrong. Okay, I think of the human brain. Well, not just me. These are not my own ideas. First of all, right? These are like smarter people than I have figured these. Have had these ideas.
But you were smart enough to go after.
Yeah, okay. So it's like the conception is that the brain is a prediction machine. right? It tries to, it spends most of its time making predictions, right? And the better it gets at predicting stuff, it likes that. It likes to make, so dopamine gets released when you make a prediction error, like positive or negative. Your brain makes a prediction, the reward you get is higher or lower than what you got, and depending on that, your brain modulates to how you feel, how you should learn what just happened.
All right. Okay.
Right? Okay. So let's say you're doing like a moving average, okay, of things, right? So the question is, how much do you weight? Like let's say you're weighting new observations versus previous observations, right? How much weight do you give to a new observation versus a previous observation in the goal of making your predictions better? So if your goal is maybe making better predictions about the world, right? From science to like just like the weather, or tomorrow's going to be cold, or like whatever, right? How much weight do you give to this newest observation as opposed to the collected length of observation you've had over the past how many years?
Okay, interesting. Very okay. Like,
was that precise enough?
It's very interesting. It's gonna take a time to answer, but let's try. So one thing that I want to say is something that I learned with Charles Darwin,
yes.
Famous Charles. His book on the origin of species. One of the things that he lays out is information collection. Humans, we have this. I don't know. We're driven by data. We want information. We're always seeking. We're just nuts.
Yeah.
The more information that we have, the better. Charles thinks a bit different from all of us. That's what makes him the guy. He thinks you should go for the information, for the source, for this, for that, maybe some exception, and that's it. You're not going to spend time collecting new evidence. You're going to spend time with your brain, thinking. Answer your question, how do I change my mind and how do I weight new information? If the information that I'm collecting, after I collect that information, together with the information that I previously had, if I start to think and my thoughts either agree very much with the new idea or disagree very much with the idea, that's where I change. Because you can change your mind to start to agree with something, or you can change your mind to start to disagree with something. I can give you two examples. When I first heard about feminism, I was against it. But then I started to collect the principal informations, I started to read the right books, I started to talk with the right people. At some point, I changed my mind. I was like, feminism is something extremely important. And there was something that I used to agree with, which was porn and nudes. Very complicated topic. But once you start to collect the right information, you see that that's so toxic for your life that I start to change my idea. So answer your question, how do I weight and how do I change? Is I collect and I think as much as I can. Because the more you think about one data, one piece of, the better you get at understanding that. And you can collect 10,000, let's call item of data. Let's say that you collect 10,000 items and you have your idea, or you collect one and you think so much about the one item that you change your mind. That's my approach. The more you think about it and the more your thoughts start to follow that new idea, that's when I tend to think, okay, maybe I should change my idea. That's how I go.
Nice.
How do you go?
Okay.
How do you do?
I've tried to implement. So I realized, maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, that there's too much information coming at me.
Unfortunately.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out. Because I need to make...
You need to filter this out.
Yeah, exactly. I need to figure this out. Right? I need to come up with a way to filter the signal from the noise, right? So I'm like, so how do I do this? Right? So I decided I'm not going to use social media, or so Twitter, Facebook. Like, there's value for those things, but for me, I was like, okay, I don't need to use these. I can play a game theoretic approach to this because I can get the benefit of social media without using it. Mm-hmm. Because I know people around me are going to use it.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if I build a network that I can actually control, that I'm actually involved in, if the information is important, it'll get filtered through these people and it'll get to me eventually, right? So like I use my network to filter the information that I receive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I feel like that's part of the motivation for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it adds because like as you learn more about yourself, you know what you like and you gravitate towards certain things, mm-hmm. and you tend to get stuck in certain places.
Mm-hmm.
So to break that vortex, you insert some new nodes like every once in a while. Mm-hmm. The node doesn't stay for long. It might just be killed off, taken out of the network soon, mm-hmm. or it might be grow a more permanent position in the network, right? Okay. But so like just conversations with random people, mm-hmm. and just other random stuff. But that's one layer, right? So I have a group of people who I use to filter this information to me through, right? And so that's one. And there's the second one is I sort of have like a council of elders, right? Like in my head.
Napoleon Hill.
Right? So like so it consists of like my mom, nice. My dad, although, well, I think my mom is way more rational than my dad is. Like he's a very emotional
woman,
guy.
that's why.
He's an emotional guy, man. And it's amazing. We can talk about those two. Like the balance they've struck is phenomenal. But like my mom, my dad, I guess it's hard to separate those two out because they've been married for 37 years. So like my mom and dad, one thing, Seneca, Stoic philosopher. I don't know if you heard of him. But
but
yeah, Stoic philosopher. I not like him and like like him, Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
Elon Musk.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
So just like five of those people. Six of those people.
Your council.
They're like one. So one of the things I think a lot about is like thinking from first principles, right? Like Musk talks about it a lot, right? And whenever I'm stuck on a problem, like I think, okay, forget everything I know about this. Forget everything I think I know about this.
That
right?
I think I know about it.
Yeah,
there we go.
Exactly. Forget everything I think I know about this. Like what? Like forget it. Forget everything I think I know. Mm-hmm. Just go back and see what smallest thing you can do to make it happen, right? And that oftentimes helps me a lot. So when I get new information, I think, okay, what would these people do, right? Like what would they do in the situation? And oftentimes they also give me like guidance into like, okay, here you should probably do this thing. Like my mom's voice is actually really, because I admire her a lot. You want to talk about feminism? Like let's talk about the shit and the grime and the fucking horrific shit that my grandma and my mom had to go through, so that I could be sitting here right now.
Third world countries, yeah,
right?
They have stories.
Like my grandma was alive when they were communists were hanging people from fucking power lines, right?
Wow.
And like she'd watch that shit and take my mom to school through all that shit. Like my mom's dad died when she was really young, and my grandma raised 7 kids by herself, never got remarried,
A lot of
never did
respect
anything,
for her.
right, by herself. Like my uncle's an engineer, my mom has her own business, like all my cousins, they're all engineers, like they're like one of them in England, like she took care of all of them, right? And me, like she would come to my house when I was born. She'd come to my house. And every day, like she would like go to work, come to my house, take care of me. When and dad were busy with business,
Wow.
and then go back to her place and do the same thing for all my other cousins, right? And she's unfortunately like 90. She's like on a deathbed right now. She's like 97, so she's like immobile. So she's gonna be gone soon. But they are a big influence. So I don't make decisions in a vacuum. Like I always put it to the test. If I can talk to them personally, I ask them about it. Mm-hmm. But if I can't, I just imagine the spirit of the person. Like, people are flawed, man. Like people have problems. Like your heroes are just humans too, right? They have flaws, but If you believe in their spirit and even if they make mistakes, the spirit of what they're trying to accomplish, and then you filter the question like, is this in the spirit of what they would want you to be doing? And I'm like, yes. So when my grandfather passed away, I like, he passed away, and my parents woke me up at 3-4 in the morning to say he passed away. Like I was at home, and usually I get up at 5, I meditate, and I go to the gym, right? And I was sitting there. It got me so off guard. Like he threw up. Like I threw up, and I was sitting there, and then I was like, I don't want to do anything right now, right? I don't want to do anything. I just, in the middle of my semester, I was like, I can't, like I don't want to do anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, like I knew nothing would make my grandfather more upset than some bullshit that happened to him is getting in the way of my life, because he absolutely hated that. Like that was the worst. Like he would get so mad when I would like stop in the middle of something and come to make sure if he's had lunch or if he's had food, and be like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Like go and get back to doing schoolwork, or I can take care of myself, right?
Nice.
Like what's wrong with you?" And every time something good happened to me, he was the proudest person, right? But he was a deeply flawed man, like our heroes, like Musk or whoever it is that you admire. They're deeply flawed people. They have histories, right? But the spirit of what they want to accomplish is, so I use it to filter my decision making. And for books, I have like, if I hear a new book, like if a book has been around and been talked about for 10 years, there's a good chance that's a pretty good book.
It needs to be a long period.
Yeah. That's the problem. But the good thing is there are books that have been around for thousands of years. So like really old books, they're around for a reason, right?
Yes.
You should probably fucking read them.
Yes.
Right. So like when I was young, that shit was lost on me. Like why the fuck am I reading Romeo and Juliet? Who gives a fuck about this? Like now I'm like, oh wait a minute.
Wait a second.
There's a reason people give a fuck about this, because it's more real than real. Like people like that, they distill reality and they show it to you in a way that is constantly refreshing and new. Like
yes,
when I had the same experience when I finally read Lord of the Rings. Right, I read all 3 of them, and when I finished, I got it. I get the following. I get
But
it.
you need to read.
You have to read it first.
Yes.
Sorry, that was a long-winded.
No. 2 things that I like to comment is I heard a lot of Napoleon Hill.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so Napoleon Hill, I think he was a psychologist. I might be wrong, but he was from the 90s, from the 80s. I don't remember. And he wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Really recommend you to read. And one of the chapters is exactly what he just described to me. You can do everything in life. You can do your habits, you can do your money, you can do everything. But at the end of the day, you think. If you don't think with a group, you're constantly be shocking your ideas, and you're constantly you're conflicting with yourself. When you have your board, or when you have your which word did you use?
Council of Elders.
Council. There we go. Council. That's the word. When you have your council, as you described, you go to them and you say, "Hey, I have this problem." You're in your house. You're gonna be, I don't know, sitting on the balcony smoking marijuana. You're gonna say, "I have this problem." What Warren Buffett would do, what Elon Musk would do, what Steve Jobs would do, how would they think about this problem? What it described to me is that you're in the right track, because you need to have that. You need to have people thinking with you. That's one of the things that I talk in our team a lot. You joined, I think, was a month ago?
Yeah, June 20th something.
Could you testify about that? Having a group of people thinking about a problem instead of one.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I had to do any of this, but I can't imagine doing it. How would you do this by yourself? Oh, this is actually a really interesting point. One of my friends, right, owns probably the biggest private company in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And they manufacture for like all kinds of companies, all kinds of like Victoria's Secret, Nike, all kinds of shit, right?
Wow.
Okay. this guy. So we actually had. We talked about. He was like, because his family owned. It's been family owned for generations, right? So he's biased a little bit, obviously, right? And he was of the opinion that this could only last this long if it was run by a small group of people, right?
Not by an individual.
Not by an individual,
A lot of people,
right?
yes.
But at the same time, he was also convinced, but he was simultaneously he was acknowledging the fact that you need more people that knew to do this thing, but he was also convinced that it's just this group of people, just my family. And I was like, and then I told him, I was like, okay, let's do the numbers on this, right? How many? Okay, let's just take an iPhone. Let's just take the glass on the iPhone, which is how many layers of stuff going on in it, right? How many generations of your family would have to be born for you to create enough engineers to build that glass, right?
Okay.
It's basically impossible. Not only is it impossible, even if first of all, they all have to be interested in doing this.
First of all, yes.
Right? They all have to care about this. They all have to have the skills. They all have to have the motivation, right? That is so fragile, right? It just doesn't work. But somehow, we have created, human beings have created this way of being together so that all these random people, all these people who you have never met, who you will never meet, just the number of hands that have touched everything that's happening in this moment right now, for the lights to be on, for this recording to be working, for this wine to be on this table, for the glass to get there, for this thing to be in the fridge. The number of hands that go into making all that happen daily, every single moment, is unbelievable. If you go all the way back to the people who mine the material, to the marketing people, to everybody, right? So many hands have to touch for this to make this happen, and each person, ideally, is exploring this world in the way they feel best. And some parts of the world you are more free to do that than others, which I think is the real fucking catastrophe, right? I think if more people were able to live in a situation where they are able to be like, you know what, fuck this, I rather work on something else, and be, well, just the environment doesn't help. You have to have the stuff also, but. So many hands touch these things, right? So many hands have to coordinate and work together for us to make it happen. And when I told him that, he was just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, because you can't, there's, as an individual, you can only talk about ideas in your head for so long before you lose your mind. You have to be able to talk
before you fatigue. Yes.
It's such a fine balance, right? It's like, how do you not lose yourself? But at the
how
same
do
time,
you push yourself. Yes.
You have to leverage. You have to balance this little fine dance between being who you are, standing up for your ideas, and at the same time being not blind to your own faults and fallacies. So when someone tells you, "Hey, that's a fucking stupid thing you're doing," you have the sense to be like, "All right, well, does that make sense? Is that?" And so how do you? Okay. So again, that's the counter to the question: how do you decide when to change your mind? I just told you how, the loops that I jump through, right? Yeah. So it's I had this girl I used to date, right? She would get really mad at me because she would say, try something, right? And I would be like, no, I don't want to do it, right? And then someone who I really admire or respect, or someone in my immediate circles, says the same thing, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's worth considering. But she doesn't understand. Her reaction was like, what? My word's not good enough? I was like,
it's not about that. Yeah.
I was like, you said it, then another person said it, then I was like, okay, there is a pattern here. This is probably worth trying.
It's not about who said. It's about the amount of. Yes.
Exactly. It's about the information. It's like, okay, how reliable is information? And if something happens more than if two distinct people from two separate parts of, and I like that about my network, is people are very distinct. They're not overlapping, and they all do very different things.
And when they
converge,
overlap,
when they converge, you're like,
there's something.
there's something.
Yes.
Like Tim Ferriss, like these guys. I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? And when completely disparate, like completely unsynced, unrelated people converge on a book, I'm like,
so
something there.
You also do that. This is how I pick it up my books. So I have one example. Was I think the Checklist Manifesto.
Good book.
Good book. I had one software developer telling me, "Hey, go read that book. It's nice." I was like, "Okay, let me put it on my backlog." And then I had a doctor talking about that book. I was like, "Oh wow, 2 people." And then I had an investor. All the 3, they don't know each other, but they talk about the same thing.
Yes.
Network of people.
Convergence, like when something, the thing is, you have to be sensitive to those convergences. You have to be able to notice them. Like, oh,
do you need to be
weird.
Sensible, or do you need to be
open? I say sensitive. Like
okay.
Like you can't walk around. You have to have your eyes open. Like, oh, there's a trend here.
Okay, but the question is still valid. Is it being sensitive to that, or is being open-minded?
I don't know, man.
Because given that I can say that you are insane that I am, we have one bias. We think that 1, everyone is, and 2, we think that everything happens. That's not true. We constantly, when you decide to read a book, you made a decision. You made a fact. Like, I want to read that book. But all the things that happened in order to get to that.
Yeah. So one thing I learned was so I've been meditating for many years now, regularly. And one of the things that I learned from it is like, I don't have to identify with my thoughts. Like, every thought that occurs to me is not necessarily me. I have this ability to like step back and like watch the thoughts come and go. Like, oh, that's interesting, that's weird, that's new, that's fucking terrifying. Like, what's that about? Like, all these things. But I don't have to identify with those things. They are not me, right? There's something else, I mean, you can go then who's watching, what, like, it's like I feel like I'm watching my thoughts, then who's watching the guy who's watching thoughts, you can go back and back. I know, I understand the loop there, but like, it's given us the ability to like I have a nice sandbox in my head. I have the ability to play with ideas in my head and not be taken over by them.
Influenced by. Okay.
Right? Like, I can mull an idea. I can take an idea and I can say, oh, well, what if this was true? Then what would that entail? Or what if this was false? And like, that ability to like build a sandbox in your head and just play around with it and then extract things that seem to make sense is I think a really useful skill. Like, my main concern is like, I think we need to address how difficult it is to get good information now.
Nowadays, woo.
There's a lot of information, but how do you know what's good and what's bad? Every institution that we thought we cared about or we respected, or people we like, like my reaction to COVID was like, where the fuck are the adults? Like, what happened? Like what happened? Where are you people? Like, where are the adults who are supposed to handle the situation properly?
I once heard something. I think it's gonna fit to this conversation. Is all the answers are out there, all the books are out there. Why don't we have all the knowledge? Why don't we know all the things? It's because you need to be questioning. It's because you need to be focusing, and because you need to be looking for that. If you're not looking for, the information is going to be there, and you're not going to get it. What happened? I'm no one to talk why COVID happened, but why COVID got intensified, and why a lot of the pandemics, if you go back to history, is a pattern. What happens in the first months or in the first year of a pandemic? Denial. Oh no. Oh, don't worry. Hey, chill out.
And not sharing information. Like.
And then what happened? Then you have the peak of the pandemic. All people dying. And then they reflect, if in the beginning, and that happens over.
When this happened, I asked some of my friends, like, imagine if you're an alien right now, and you're looking at Earth from space, and you see this pandemic going on, you would look at all the different countries, and your first reaction would be, "Oh, these poor idiots! They have no way of communicating." That would be your reaction, because the range in responses to this pandemic was so vast. It was like we were effectively not communicating with each other. It's like because people were motivated by all their bullshit and not really like what works, what doesn't work, right? It's like if Sri Lanka looked at like, I don't know, fucking Singapore or like, I don't know, Sweden, Netherlands, and be like, okay, well, let's just do that. Like,
let's copy that.
Yeah, like what's wrong with that, right? Like I'm all for finding your own way, but how many times do you have to try to reinvent the wheel before you figure out, okay, well, maybe the wheel has been invented the way it should be, or we just don't have the skills to do it. We have to do something, right? And Sri Lankans, I don't know about Brazilians, they have, maybe it's because it's just an island mentality, but they're like, fuck all that shit, we're gonna figure all this shit out for ourselves. How is that possible?
Yeah, that there is I think what is a German saying, there is a syndrome called not invented here. Everything that is not invented here, you are opposed to. Probably your country, probably Brazil also has that.
So Brazil was colonized by
Portuguese.
Portuguese?
Yes.
Right. So I was thinking about it. It's like, it's funny. So people who are like who like to call like nationalism mongers, like they're like I am. I love my country, but when I say that, it's like I think of a country, but I have to define what I think of as a country. It's like I define a country as a system that enables people to live a life in a certain way, right?
Okay.
Right.
I like the definition.
And if that system is not delivering on that, I have no problem criticizing it.
No.
It's like fucking okay, flag and nation, and it's great, but like let's think about it. It serves a purpose. Is it serving that purpose? Is it yes or no? Then if it's not, we should do something about it and try to improve it, right? But no, the idea is this is who we are. This is how we do things, and that's how it should be. And I was like, okay,
yes.
Well, you can't have something you never had without changing something. You can't have something you never had without doing something you've never done before, right? So, good luck with that shit. Like that mentality is everywhere.
It's complicated. In Brazil, we have the same mentality. I didn't hear this once. I hear this probably all the time that I go to Brazil. I was born poor, I'm gonna die poor.
Fuck that shit.
I was born like this, I'm gonna die like this. Or this is the way. No.
My grandparents and my parents, they sacrificed so much shit. They went through so much. My dad used to run marathons with no shoes. He used to there used to be leave trails of blood to become he would win the marathon and there'd be like a fucking trail of blood because he couldn't afford shoes. But he was like, "Fuck that shit, I'm gonna win." Right? Like, being broke is a status being broke is a temporary status, but poverty is just a state of mind.
It's a state of mind. Right? Yes.
It's like that's on you. Like fuck that shit. I'm not poor. I'm broke.
About Napoleon, we were talking about Napoleon. Napoleon states that if you want to be rich, not in terms of money, but in terms of family, friends, business, money, adventures. If you want to be rich, you need to think rich.
Yeah, for sure. That's
the mind. What people call the mindset. You need to have the mindset. You need to have the vision. You need to go there. Something that I would like to comment is you talk about countries. What's the purpose of a country? I think similar to you. I think a country today we have two types of countries. One country, let's use the Netherlands as an example because I think we can agree it's a good country.
Yep, pretty nice. Pretty nice. A pretty good gig here.
Not bad.
Not bad.
It's a platform. You move here. You have this platform shine, do whatever the fuck you want to do, be whoever the hell you want to be, the country is going to support you. But unfortunately, we have countries like yours and mine, what I like to call that they kill people and they make money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a fucking catastrophe. Like, so my patriotism is a function of how good is this thing doing what it's supposed to be doing. Like, because I like
how much value do I get out of it?
Exactly, and I like systems that work. Like it's that simple. I like systems that work.
And so I think the point is not that you don't like systems that don't work. Is because we as people that work with systems, we know that there is a possibility of.
That's the thing. There's a possibility of getting it to work.
The company that we work for, we have a team over America called Engineering Productivity. Andrea is the leader. And she has something that I find very nice. She has a internal blog post of everything that she's thinking about.
Oh, nice.
So sometimes she's posting things about, we have budget problems. Sometimes we have headcount problems. And one day she was talking about complex system of systems. And then she laid out all the foundation about complexity. She laid out all the foundation about systems. As soon as I was reading that, I messaged her. I was like, you just explained how countries could improve. What is a country? Is one big complex system of a lot of subsystems?
Yep.
How do you improve that? System by fucking system. It's gonna be difficult, it's gonna take time, but the outcome is just amazing.
Right. So what happened to Sri Lanka is that you had a system that was hobbling along,
Okay.
right? You never took the time to realize that this is not sustainable and you have to make changes, right? COVID didn't do this to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka did it to Sri Lanka.
Yes.
COVID was just the last thing on the...
Similar to Brazil.
Yes, was the last thing on the top that just did it. So now we have an opportunity. I always think of these fucking catastrophes as opportunity for something beautiful to be made out of this, right? Like, because when chaos happens, there are pieces that are now flowing, free-flowing pieces, and you can put them together in interesting ways to make it more functional.
Chaos allows you that, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? So, like, Sri Lankans, but if they hear me talking about this, you know what they say? You know what the fuck they would say to me? They would say, oh, what the fuck do you have to worry about? You're in the fucking Netherlands. Right? What problems do you have? And I'm like, what problems do I have? Like,
it's not about the problems that I have, it's about let's improve. I have the same thing with Brazil. When I go to Brazil and I say, oh man, in the Netherlands work differently, they're like, oh yeah, but I was like, it's not about being the Netherlands or about being Brazil or about being Sri Lanka. It's about, we know that it's possible. Why?
So many, like, it's amazing. Like, imagine if you and I were able to live like this in Brazil or Sri Lanka, dude.
This is my goal for life.
I mean, like,
I can share with you.
We couldn't think of. I can't think of two more beautiful places in the world than to have that, right?
Yes, and one of the things that I think about life is this. We have countries like the Netherlands, which is a tiny country in Europe, but the way that they have set it up, this country is just insane. Everything works, everything's fine, and you have this platform. And then you take like Brazil, big country, the 5th biggest country in the planet. We have more than 300 million people. How do you even start to lay out what's going to be the foundation for the future? So one of the ideas that I have for myself is I want to spend a lot of time thinking about my country. I want to spend a lot of time trying to understand what is a country that is a platform and what is a country that is not a platform, the term that we use. And then my idea is, what can I do with a foundation? It doesn't need to be a company, it doesn't need to be for profit, but can I build a foundation that's going to be non-profit, where I'm going to take this huge challenge of transforming Brazil in a platform? If I have already made my mind, I'm going to try to. Imagine if we do that with all the countries. With Africa, you have this big continent called Africa.
Man, Africa is another fucking catastrophe. Like, I appreciate like the idea that I've been thinking about something along the same lines for Sri Lanka, but like a more individual approach. But like,
We need people like you, I mean, otherwise.
Yeah. And like I did this research. I was hired to do some research for this company called Learn Asia.
Mhm.
They're a free market, like a public policy think tank. They do AI. They think about AI policy, AI ethics, stuff like that, right? And I was hired to do research about AI applications in healthcare and disaster management.
Oh, interesting.
Right around the world, see what policies are being implemented, or what governments are using, what are the regulations that are in place, etc., etc. Right.
Mhm.
When I got to researching Africa, right, it was like researching a different fucking planet, because like I thought Sri Lanka had problems. I was like, holy shit, Sri Lanka is actually an average place to live.
Is it heaven?
It's like a mediocre place to live.
Yes.
Like in Africa,
yes.
while you are dying from AIDS, you've lost your limbs to diabetes, and your children are dying from malaria, and you can't feed your family. And 40% of the time, there's no power in hospitals.
And it's hot.
And it's hot as fuck, to add to that, right? And it's like, man, what the fuck, right? So, but even if you go, I'm sure if you go there, you'll hear the same fucking arguments. This is Africa. This is how we do it. Or like, I mean, I'm generalizing. Africa is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Go to like one small country in Africa, like, you can't generalize.
I don't know, Nigeria.
Yeah, whatever, right? Exactly.
Mhm.
And say, no, this is how we do things. This is how we are.
You need to have people that think differently.
People
Yes.
have to want to change, right?
Yes, you cannot change someone that does not want to be part of that. Yes,
So
unfortunately.
I struggle with this quite a bit because I feel sometimes I feel guilty. It's like, man, why should I be able to enjoy this? Look at my life and the thing I get to do. You know?
One of the things that I learned in life, especially when I moved to Europe, is don't think about that. I used to think like, oh my god, I'm going to this party, or I don't know, I'm sitting on the damn square smoking marijuana. All the freedom in the world. Oh my god, I wish everyone had that. I cannot think that, because then I'm going to be sabotaging myself. But what I can think is what I can do to bring this to everyone. Because then you're starting to foment the ideas of something way bigger than you, for example, a foundation, that is going to then enable.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like I'm always thinking about the foundation that led me here, right? And like the fact that my parents, they were like, you are gonna learn English. You're gonna learn English so fucking well.
My parents were the same.
Like that's gonna set that shit up for you. And I was like, I don't want to fucking.
I don't want to go.
I
Yes,
don't want
all
to do
the
this.
time was a pain.
This fucking sucks. Like
Yes.
no, they were like they did whatever they had to. They were like, you're gonna learn this, and then they're like, you're gonna do. Like my parents, they watched me like a hawk.
Okay.
And if I showed interest in anything, they were like, all right, go. Like, what do you want to do? Go do it. And I was like,
How do I enable you?
yeah.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'll be like, oh, swimming looks kind of cool. Cool, right, let's go. Tomorrow, I'll put you to class. Boom. And like, I'll try it. And then like something sticks, something didn't. And like, I'm so grateful for now because they were like, they did their best to enable me with what little they had. And like, Jesus Christ.
That's you appreciate.
Yeah, like
thank you for sharing. Yes, that's very deep.
It's
very deep.
like unbelievable.
Can we talk about something?
Yeah, sure.
You have read the Why We Sleep from Matthew?
Yes, of course.
Matthew Walker. Shall
Yeah.
we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Tell me, what did you learn with the book?
I learned that I might like, man. Okay, let's take a step back, right? Before I read the book, I listened to him on a podcast, and before I did that, my journey to improving sleep started way before that, actually. Right?
Interesting.
So I powerlifted competitively in Sri Lanka, and I did it for I've been doing it for 10 years now.
Oh, nice.
Right? So I competed nationally,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Not Sri Lankans are weak as fuck, so me being strong means absolutely fucking nothing, right?
But you had the experience. That's
Yeah, right, exactly. And I was like, man, I was trying to find the low hanging fruit to improve my performance,
Okay.
right? I was like, okay, what can I do? I can't get supplements. It's here. It's too expensive. I can't find a good coach here. No one exists.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford a foreign coach. So I can't, fuck, that's too expensive. So I'm like, what are the low hanging fruits, right? Like, what can I do? What can I eat? How can I do these little things? And then I was like, and then I think some obscure thing, I heard about like just something like how your grip strength is affected by how much sleep you got the last night or something like that. I was like,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, that's weird.
Interesting.
Interesting. I was like, I don't really, my grip strength is fine. But like, fuck it, right? But then I pulled that thread. And I was like, what else does this thing do? Like, can I improve other things? Like, because the first thing I saw was like the contrast between what it said I should be doing and what I was doing was like drinking too much, drinking all the time, staying up all night, then going to the gym and like working out, right? And then I saw the other competitors who were also like, they were just naturally strong. They would literally be in the middle of a meet, right? Like a competition is going on. They'd be like outside smoking, like just drinking. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be athletes, right? And I was like, fuck this. And I was like, okay. I was like, man, I noticed I can't lift as hard or heavy if I've been out partying and I go to the gym with like 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep. It just doesn't work. I was like, all right, gotta cut this shit back a little bit. Cut that back, started sleeping more consistently, and immediately I was like,
It's insane. The effects.
And I was like,
super quick.
The first thing I noticed was my recovery, right? Okay. Like, it would take me so long to recover, but once I started sleeping properly, it was like, whoa, I can go back in the gym 3 days from now. I'm like fucking feeling great. And my strength started going up like boom, boom, boom. Because the most important thing about strength training, it's important to train your hardest fuck. It's important to train super hard, but it's also important to rest super hard. Rest and recover, right? And I was not doing that because like it just wasn't. It wasn't just part of my because it wasn't part of the mentality. So I was like, okay, improve my sleep. She started getting better. Then I was like, my strength's getting better. I'm more alert cognitively. I'm more like more interested in things. Then
I'm happier.
Like I used to think I was a lazy person and I didn't want to do these things. I wasn't interested. I used to think I was lazy. I wasn't interested in hard things and I didn't want to learn anything. Then I started sleeping better and I was like, wait a minute. I actually like these things. I actually have the energy and motivation to go do these things. Because if you don't have the energy, your brain just says, nope, too hard. Fuck that, right? So it's like that improved. And then I was introduced to mat walk and I was like, whoa, this is a whole other fucking game. Right? So then I started taking my sleep way more seriously. And then I started having anxiety problems.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I couldn't, and then, so I got prescribed anxiety medication 2.5, 3 years ago. So I tried everything before I went to psychiatrist, right? Everything in the book, everything I tried, right? It got to a point where I hadn't slept 4 or 5 days in a row, and my skin felt like it was on fire. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd fall asleep, wake up 2 hours from that, completely awake, can't go back to sleep again. So I went to a therapist, and I was so lucky that he found something that worked. Because usually you have to like try a bunch of different things, right? And he was like, he's a really experienced guy. He also practices here, I think.
Oh.
And like he was like, try this, okay? And I took it. And an hour after I took the medication, I couldn't even keep my head up, right? And I was scared. I was like, whoa, I don't want to take this if I'm going to feel like this for the rest. I feel numb. Like I don't exist, right? And then I realized I had been sleep deprived for so long. And not just for those week or two, but for months,
For a little bit.
years before that I didn't actually know what it felt like to get tired. Because my underlying anxiety had always been like, people get tired in the evening and they they get sleepy and they go to bed, right? Like if you sit on the couch, you start yawning. That didn't happen to me. Like for me, sleep was like, okay, it's bedtime, gotta go lay down, sleep, put myself to sleep, and then I imagine that I got sleep and I wake up and go back, go do my thing. So now I finally started getting getting deeper sleep. Then I was like, whoa, I was very interested in stuff, a whole new game, and like my memory, my ability to hold things in my mind, my anger. I was a very angry guy. Much more calm,
Yes.
much more reasonable. Sleep, man, unbelievable. But like, now the problem is I have to actively not let a bad night of sleep be an excuse to not get the shit I need to get done. Right. So this last night was an unexpectedly long night because one of my professors took us to dinner. We just finished up a research project with him, and he took us to this fine dining place. It was like fucking amazing and way past my bedtime. I was like, fuck it. This morning I was like, I woke up. I didn't want to come here today. I was like, I had every excuse to be like, nope, no need to do that. And I was like, no, fuck it. I'm up already. Might as well go do it.
But what I think it happens with us. This is one of the questions that I have with Matthew. If one day I get to meet him,
That would be nice.
that would be amazing. One of the questions that I have is exactly what you said. Before having a scheduled sleep cycle, if you sleep one night bad, the next day
didn't
was
matter.
horrible.
Yeah.
But because now we have so many good nights of sleep, all the levels, all the hormones, they are okay. When you deprive your sleep by 1 or 2 nights, it's okay. Because you have a backlog of so many good nights of sleep that you can navigate.
Yeah, no,
You know that the day is going to be awful.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult. You're going to be sleepy. You're going to need to drink more coffee. But because you have a backlog of good nights of sleep, I get what you're saying. I have the same thing. Sometimes I get anxious because I'm not going to sleep on my bedtime. But what I learn is, it's fine.
So,
The past 2 nights, you have slept.
like, I mean, if I don't like the difference between 4 hours of sleep and 7 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep, it's like I can't. It's like there's a part of my brain I can't access. It's not there. Like I'm calling it like, hey, do this process. And it's just like, nope.
No. Yes.
4 or 4. Like,
Can't. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Like resources.
No, it's like
we're closed for today.
yeah,
Try
it's like,
tomorrow.
try again tomorrow. It's like you just can't do it. Like,
Yes.
yeah. So like people, like I know people in my program who are like they're trying to like do data structures and algorithms, right? They're taking their class and they're like, oh yeah, I can party all night, then get up in the morning and try to solve this data structures problem. I'm like, yeah, fucking good luck. Like, maybe you can.
Maybe
right?
they can
Maybe
when
you can.
they're young.
But like,
Later in life,
thing is, it's not even about that. It's like maybe you can, but like, are you doing it the best you could do it? Like, what? Why?
is it healthy? Yes.
Like, why are you doing that? Like, it's hard, man. It's obviously in hindsight, it's 2020, right? So looking back, I'm like, oh man, I was so fucking stupid, you know. But hey, better to start.
Better sooner than later.
Sooner than later, right?
Better
Like,
sooner than later. And tell me one thing that you find very difficult to do about sleep that you learn with the book. Not that you know that you need to apply, but like you want to apply, but it's very difficult. Tell me.
something very difficult for me to apply, like from the book.
In terms of, let's say that you learned something on the book, or Matthew told you, oh, you should. What is something that is, although you do, is very difficult for you? You still need to invest a lot of energy related to your sleep. What's some? Because I have something, so that's fine. Along the day, during the night, during the sleep, what is still difficult for you, even after the book, or because of the book?
It's for me. Oh man, that's an excellent question because like I've dialed in so many things. Like even right now I'm a bit anxious because like I'm gonna get late, miss my train, but like fuck it.
Hey, there's a problem for later.
Yeah,
There's a problem for later.
But like for me, the first thing that came to mind was sort of temperature control of the bed because I still like a blanket. Like I feel it's cozy, but I know it's fucking with my body temperature. It keeps me up at night sometimes.
Oh wow!
But I like it. I like the comfort of having a blanket, even though I 100% don't need it, right? And I know I need to let my temperature drop for me to go to sleep. So I'm working on that. That's the hard thing for me.
Nice.
It's like because that idea of the bed is not just the bed. Like it's the coziness that makes me happy.
It's the whole thing.
You know, it's like so. I'm like, come on, man. So that's hard. That's hard. That's a hard.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
What about you?
Nice. For me is about how much and what do I eat throughout the day. Because one of the things that I learned with the book is everything in life has this concept of half-life, how long it takes to decompose. When he talked in the book about caffeine, like if you drink a cup of caffeine at 1, you're going to have caffeine in your blood all the way to 10.
Yeah.
So for me, what is difficult is, let's say that I'm going with a dinner with a lot of friends, is close to 10, so I know that I shouldn't be eating, but then the friend is like, let's have pizza, let's have pasta. I was like,
It's hard. It's hard to say no to this.
How do you say no? But how do you? So what is for me is like, for me it's fine. If one day in the week I'm gonna have pasta at 10 p.m. That's nice, because given that the other nights I'm taking care, and the other days I'm taking care of what I'm eating and when I'm eating. But yeah.
I know, like, it's really difficult. Luckily for me, like, my friends understand how nuts I am, so they are very accommodating. So like they know, like, I'm very
it's not about being nuts, it's about you value.
Yeah, so like they value. So it's like I know, like, they know Monday to Friday I usually don't eat carbs, right? I eat green leaves, meat, and like eggs, lots of leafy, greeny things, and like fat and protein. Keeps me nice and calm, nice energy throughout the day without like a big up and down. So like when when they want to go out, they're like, hey, we can't go on this day because he won't eat pizza, so we'll have to go on Saturday. So like it's nice. So like, but like, if I could, like, yeah, the food thing is hard. You gotta figure that out. Like,
you gotta relearn. I need to relearn.
Because I've been doing this, because I've been I was an athlete for so long. Like, it's dieting.
For you is more natural.
Yeah. Because for me, food is about calorie, like the nutrients and sustenance. I'm not exactly like, I love food though. I fucking love food. I love to cook. I love good food. I love my mom's cooking. But during the week, I have put myself in this mode where it's like Monday to Friday, I'm in athlete mode.
Okay.
I'm training. Everything I do is like training. I'm working.
Just focus on that. Okay.
It's like my work is like I'm training. My sleep is like I'm training. My food is like I'm training. Like, I get the food I need. It's not about luxury. It's about a Spartan way of living.
Okay.
Right. Monday to Friday. Like, for example, I have the same T-shirts that I wear. Same cut, same color, but like obviously different T-shirts. Right. But like, it's like I'm in boot camp Monday to Friday, basically.
Okay.
I eat like a Spartan. Like, I eat well, but I eat just the things that I need. When the weekend comes around, I'm like, put all the shit aside. Then, so basically from noon to 8:30 p.m. on weekends, I say yes to whatever my friends say. Okay. Because Monday to Friday, I'm so selfish with my time that on the weekends I say yes to my friends and family.
And also because you focus your week on yourself, you can.
Yeah, I don't have to think about that shit.
Loosen up.
I can loosen up. It's totally fine, and it does nothing to me. Like I know if I go out Friday night, like tonight, I might get a little late to get home, but the value of this is worth it. It's totally worth it, and I know about myself enough that like tomorrow morning, I still get up, get my shit done. Like, it's so, and people appreciate that. So like. And my people who know me know that like when I'm engaged with them, I am engaged with them 100%.
You're in the moment.
And my time is fucking valuable. So like, I'm not saying it's valuable to everybody. I'm saying it's valuable to me, right? So we're gonna do something. Let's do something. And I don't want, and I expect that, but I expect the same level of engagement with me. But people don't do that. They're so fucking distracted. They're living their life 20%. Of everything at once.
I could be talking with you on my phone. Oh yeah, nice question.
Yeah. Like,
how you're in the moment?
No, it's
how do you get in the moment?
Like, people are like, oh man, Udesh, how do you do so many different things? I'm like, it's because I do one thing at a time.
And you decided not to do a lot of things. You talk, for example, social media. I also made a decision. People ask me, dude, you're always traveling. You're always reading books. You go to. How do you? I was like, because I choose. What to do.
If you know what the fuck you're doing, 24 hours a day is a lot of time. Like, if you can figure that shit out, it's a lot. You can do a lot. Like, 24 hours a day, I read. Like, I do my work. I meditate. I exercise. I eat. I cook. I travel.
I take a break.
Like, I have to share with you something called. Have you heard of non-sleep deep rest?
Non-sleep deep rest.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna share a video with you. It's a protocol, right? It's not. If you fall asleep while doing it, it's fine, but it's not meant to do that. It's developed by Harvard,
Oh, interesting.
like the current head of Harvard psychiatry or some shit.
Maybe he knows what he's saying.
Maybe he knows what he's talking about, right?
Nice.
So I'll send it to you. It's
Cool.
called non-sleep deep rest. It's like a visualization thing,
Mhm.
and it can help you if you had a bad night's sleep. You wanna like catch it. You wanna like get like a small kick for the day, or if you're like working stressfully, really hard, take a step back, sit down, and it's like restarting your computer basically. Like clears the RAM a little bit.
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah. It's nice. I'll share it with you. I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you.
Like, how did I get on this topic? But like, yeah. So it's value. Like, how do you like apportion your time, right? So this is valuable time. So like, I'm using this valuably, right? Like, I always think about my behaviors in an iterative fashion. It's like, can I iterate this behavior over 50 years? What would happen?
Mhm.
So I'm like, so my physical exercise now is like the plan that I have is a plan that I think I can follow for 50 years.
It's not the short term.
It's not crazy. I work out 25 minutes in the morning. It's nothing insane. I do like I lift weights twice a week on the weekdays,
Mhm.
right? And I just do one body part, 25 minutes, and I'm out of there. And then the next 3 days, I just on the bike 25 minutes because I know I could have not slept for all night. I could be partying all night. I can sit my ass down on a bike for 25 minutes and just fucking pedal. I could be having 100 degrees fever. I can just sit there. I can
Or
pedal.
you could be in a day that you have all the energy, but you limit yourself
Exactly.
to 25.
25 minutes. And then it's good. It hits all the buttons.
It's consistency and it's discipline.
Exactly.
It's something that you have. Be proud of what you have because it's difficult to achieve that discipline.
I
It's
mean,
difficult.
yeah, it took a while to.
But it was worth it, right?
Totally worth it, right? So like my morning has like I have 1 hour to myself every morning, 20.
It's your hour.
20 minutes of working out, 20 minutes of like meditating, 20 minutes of reading a book.
It's your time.
And that time I don't do shit.
Yes.
Right? It's like this morning, why did I meditated on the train, I worked on the train.
Mhm.
So like one thing that's been hard for me is to realize that, to understand that like I am a fucking human being and I am going to fall, I'm going to miss these routines that I have, and it's okay. That's been hard.
Yes, I have the same problem. I think I'm a superhero, and when I fail or when I commit a mistake, I'm super angry at me. We need to learn how to.
It's really hard. Yeah.
In respect to your time,
Yes.
let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. For sure.
One last question. What do you want to know? What do you want to talk?
Man, this has been so much fun. Like just to sit around and hang out and chat, man. Like this has been like it's so nice and refreshing and like
Share ideas.
Yeah, it's
validate
amazing.
your thoughts.
And like you're an interesting person. Like
Oh, thank you.
like I appreciate you. Like and I appreciate you taking your time to like sit here and talk to me. It's been really like
Pleasure.
this is it's been a fun hobby of mine, and this is my way of playing, and I appreciate you playing with me. Like it's
Thank you.
it's awesome.
It was a pleasure.
I hope you had fun as well. And like maybe do it again before I leave.
Oh yeah, of course.
We talk about so much shit, man. That's awesome. All right, thanks, man. That was an awesome conversation. Thank you again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.